you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. ESYDA returned to play summer clinics. Recreation, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Travel team, EDP, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free mask and water bottle. Register today at esYDA.org. Email info@ESYDA. Phone 248-765-9369. Office 301-800-7848. Toll free 800-995-5532. Free registration for all summer clinics. All new players need buy uniforms. We're following COVID-19 soccer guidelines. Small group practice with 9 players and 1 coach. For more information, go to esYDA.org.
L'entrepreneuriat digital vous intéresse-t-il? Vous voulez apprendre à construire des projets digitaux? Aimeriez-vous gagner des revenus passifs conséquents en tout lieu? Voici la plateforme des professionnels du digital, la Diaspoara Academy. Ici, vous retrouverez les meilleurs professionnels de la diasporama mondiale connectés sur notre plateforme. Vous allez pouvoir acquérir des formations adéquates qui feront de vous des entrepreneurs digitaux compétents. Étudiants, entrepreneurs, coachs, instructeurs et entreprises, Diaspoara Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Elle vous offre la possibilité de suivre votre formation en mode virtuel à partir de chez vous, où que vous soyez sur la planète. Toutes nos formations disponibles en ligne sont dispensées de manière interactive. Il suffit de vous inscrire et vous pourrez les suivre depuis chez vous. Au cours de la formation, vous passerez des quiz et examens selon votre parcours. En outre, à partir de votre tableau de bord, vous suivrez vos performances et progressions. Vous pourrez aussi communiquer avec vos instructeurs et recevoir des notifications. À la fin de votre parcours de formation, vous recevrez un certificat Diaspoara Academy Certified. Que vous soyez débutant ou responsable d'entreprise, Diaspoara Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Saisissez-la! Enfin, que vous soyez coach ou instructeur, ayez accès à un millier d'étudiants à travers notre plateforme. Merci de choisir Diaspoara Academy, le meilleur choix. Pour plus d'informations, allez sur www.diaspoaraacademy.com. Diaspoara Academy, la plateforme des professionnels du digital.
everyone. Welcome to the African Diaspora Grassrots voting on Afrique Today, the #1 digital channel out of Washington, D.C. I am your host, Busi Matiko, and live from our studio in New York City. We are going to be talking about everything voting leading up to the U.S. 2020 election. You can watch us on 4 platforms, that is YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and of course our website, www.afriquetoday.com. Did you know that Afrique Today is also on Smart TV? Well, it is. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a special guest who is none other than the Honorable Daniel Koroma, who is the District 20 Montgomery County Democratic Central Committee. He will discuss why it's important for you to exercise your civic duty of voting during this critical U.S. 2020 elections. Welcome, Honorable Koroma.
Thank you, Buzi, and thank you for Afrique Today for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I want to go over your lengthy and bio, which is impeccable. Honorable Koroma is the Business Liaison Officer of the Montgomery County government in the state of Maryland. His work in the office of the county executive focuses on assisting companies doing business in or with Montgomery County government. He manages the award-winning Montgomery County Business Portal, a gateway to information on how Montgomery County interacts with the business community. Mr. Koroma was the community outreach manager and liaison to the African and Caribbean communities at the Montgomery County Office of Community Partnerships. He ensured ongoing dialogue and partnerships exist between the government and various nonprofit service providers, community associations, diaspora, and hometown groups. Mr. Koroma's office ensured stakeholder voices were heard and removed roadblocks that could impede residents' ability to access county services. He's the first African immigrant appointed to the county executive office in Montgomery County, Maryland. Honorable Koroma, in the height of the global financial crisis, Mr. Koroma was asked to create a resource center in the eastern part of Montgomery County in order to help community members who needed additional skills in order to gain employment. He engaged community leaders and recruited volunteers to enroll students in computer and English classes. He helped foster a collaboration with the Montgomery College, and together they have served over 4,000 residents. In 2008, Mr. Koroma was one of the advocates who went to the United States Congress to fight for the extension of the Temporary Protected Services, TPS, for Liberians and Sierra Leoneans. In 2012, Mr. Koroma was one of the leaders engaged by the White House when President Obama was urging Congress to come up with a comprehensive immigration plan. Mr. Koroma holds a master's degree in engineering from University of Maryland, College Park, James Clark School of Engineering, and is an executive leadership graduate from the prestigious Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Mr. Koroma and his wife live in Silver Spring, Maryland. Welcome again, Mr. Koroma. It's so good to have you.
Thank you, Buzi. Now I feel like you were introducing somebody else, but thank you for having me.
No, that is you. You've earned it. They say respect is earned. So how have you been doing during this unprecedented times?
It's been very difficult. I have to be honest with you. We're approaching 150,000 people dead because of coronavirus. And why? Because of the lack of leadership coming from the federal government. But we also have millions of people who have lost their jobs. And right now, we don't even know how those people are going to survive, because the unemployment insurance is about to run out. In addition, there's, I'll say, a small business crisis. While the federal government have given money to big businesses and have given a lot of cash to stock up the stock market, we're talking about the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, those who have very slim margins, like restaurants. They are suffering. So I wish I would have said, I'm doing okay. I would have said, things are okay, but things are not okay. America is not okay. Maryland is not okay. We are all not okay, because until we are able to get competent leadership at the federal level, it's not going to be easy for us at all. So again, I apologize for starting this right way, but you asked me, and I want to be a truth teller, and that's the truth right now, as we see it.
Yeah, these are kind of there's a lot of hypervigilance during this time, a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot going on, and I know it's not time for a victory lap, as you may call it,
No, and besides that, let me also say it's not time for for partisanship, right? This is a time for this is a time America should come together. It just happened to be that we have somebody at the White House who is incompetent. So guess
what happened during September 11? We came together,
exactly.
Regardless.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is bigger. Can you imagine? Almost 6-7 days in a row, there's been 1,000 American dead every day. That's bigger than 9/11. The amount of people who died.
9/11 was about, yeah.
So can you imagine?
Together.
Exactly. Yeah, we really need to come together, but it always starts at the top. That's why leadership matters, right? Yeah. I'm a Joe Biden supporter. Why? Not because he is just a Democrat, but because of his values, because of his platform, right? Those platforms speak to issues not only that favors me, but favors our community, and so therefore, that's the reason why I support Joe Biden. And his leadership will definitely take us.
I know you'll go in, you'll tell us more about that. I wanted to ask you, tell us more about yourself. I mean, how did you transition from engineering to public office? And, give a little background on the work you've been around American politics and elections.
Sure. So, like a typical African, right? We are multitasker. We do multiple things. If this degree does not right, we go and get another degree. If this certification is not okay, again, background in computer engineering, went to University of Maryland. But the most important thing, and that's why I'm happy you have me today, my transition started from volunteering. So I started in around 2008, the county executive.
That time Obama elections?
Yeah, so it was actually before Obama election, and then I continued to volunteer during the Obama election. But we had our first Black county executive, first African American county executive here in Montgomery County, former county executive Ike Leggett. I volunteered when he called the community and said he wants to, include more people to the table. And so I volunteered for three years. Just trying to organize our community, and then as a result of that, then they hired me around 2010-11 to start to work part-time, and then the rest is history. But to your point, my transition started with volunteering, and many people who have found, very fulfilling and rewarding jobs, many of them did not just go into it based on career.
Things I've started as a volunteer, even in corporate. I stayed as a non-paid intern, and I transferred. I came out of college at the time when there was a hiring freeze, but because of that, they were able to speak to a sister company
There you go.
ended up hiring. Said sometimes you just have to just, you know what, take a step backwards to move forward, and then also get it into our system that it's okay to volunteer. And how has that changed over the years from when you transitioned to now,
Yeah, well, the goal for me is always impact, because I just don't want to volunteer. I just want to do something just for doing sake. I want to be able to make an impact. So basically, it was during the recession that I was volunteering, and so I was sent to the East County, which is where I lived, which is where many of our African American, Latino, Asian, so minority groups live in the East County. And then again, the service center was closed, so I ended up setting up a computer and English program. And that program grew successfully. And now Montgomery College, which is one of the colleges here in Montgomery County, is now running a program, very successful programs from that place. So I was able to make an impact there. So I see that transition happening. But also there were advisory groups. So we helped bring people into the advisory group and let them get civically engaged so that they will be able to make an impact. That also has been very successful. And then towards 2 years ago, I transitioned. I was like, well, let me go back not only to my, my engineering, but also because I did my master's is in, technology entrepreneurship. That's what I did my master's degree in. And so I was like, let me go and see how I can work with the business community. And lo and behold, a year later, we're in a pandemic where businesses are not only remote, but especially, minority businesses are having such a difficult time with access to information, with access to capital, right? Because, revenues are zero for many of these small businesses. So I'm just happy that I'm able to make an impact right now as we speak to help. But remember, it all comes back to this civic engagement, right? So I know we're going to talk about voting. We're going to talk about, it all comes back to how do we get people engaged and let them know they have a stake in our democracy.
Absolutely. Thanks for that insight on that. I've from my research about you and from what I've heard about you, you have pushed for early voting sites,
Yes.
and you were opposed.
Yes.
Is that still in the works? And what's the status?
So sadly, it's not in the works because the majority Republican Board of Election voted against me and voted against my community and our community. Buzi, can you imagine, with all what has been done in America in terms of voting rights, in terms of, civil rights, to push America to a place where they do one thing, is make voting easy. What some of these Board of Election members, when I went and spoke before them, when I was testifying, I explained to them who are the members in my community that they were saying no to. These were people who are healthcare workers, right? And because of that, because they're in the healthcare field, and this is before COVID-19, because they're in the healthcare field, they had to wake up early in the morning because the early shift, if you are a nurse, a doctor, a nurse's aide, is 7 a.m. That's your early morning shift. That's not when you wake up. That's when you have to show up. So therefore, many of the constituency that I represent here in District 20, some have to wake up at 5 a.m. so that they could get their children ready for school before they leave their house at 6 a.m. to get to work at 7 a.m. Well, their first shift starts from 7, it ends at 3. Their second shift starts at 3 and it goes till 11. Anyone who's familiar with the healthcare staffing schedule.
I do recruit healthcare workers, so I do understand that the unfortunate aspect of that. And so,
So how can you say no to those people? And can you imagine, we're in a pandemic right now, right? Those who are in the front line, we call them essential workers, and you are making it hard for them to vote. So even the governor, they're telling the governor, make it easy. make sure, like during the primaries, ballots were sent to everyone in their homes. And the governor, up to now, right, first of all, he said no. And then now he's making his mind. We don't know what's going to happen. But what we are doing, we at the Democratic Central Committee have put together enough resources working with the Board of Elections. And so therefore, anyone who wants to request a ballot application, all what you need to do is just text V as in Victor, B as in boy, M as in Mary. So VBM to 77788. That is vote by mail. So if you would like to vote by mail, make sure you send VBN to 77788. You just text VBM to that number, 77788. And what you will have access for you to be able to download the application and then fill out. That way, the Board of Election will mail you a ballot so you can vote in November.
Okay. What about the concerns about the absentee votes at this time, ballots? People are concerned about that. They are concerned about rigging of elections. They're concerned about their votes being rejected. How do you deal with such concerns and questions, about
the Buzi, that's a great question. And let me first of all say that the misinformation around voters who are rigging the election or voting people who are not eligible to vote, it's really a misinformation campaign. The only place where there has been a systemic issue, it was a Republican district in, I believe, North Carolina, where there was a Republican campaign strategist going around picking people's votes and pay people to go and tell people to fill out their forms. But nationally, we don't have any problem with voting by mail. In fact, we just had a very successful here in Maryland, a very successful presidential primary election where more people voted than ever, even than the previous election. And it was a vote by mail thing. So let me just say that it's a big myth, but we know that there are people who are believing
who are spreading that rumor to create fear.
Let me just say, that's why all of us need to be vigilant, right? So make sure that you request, vote by mail early so you can fill it out. So you can mail it and make sure before you fill it out, make sure you read the instructions. So if we're all diligent, then the whole myth about, my vote would not count. And as I said, that has happened. So voter suppression has happened, not only in Georgia, but just what we're just talking about in terms of rejecting early voting sites in White Oak. That is a voter suppression tactics that the Republican majority Board of Election members did to me and to our members, to our constituents here in Silver Spring.
Wow. So is there any deadline for these absentee ballots?
So, let me just say, first of all, do it right now, right? So again, you can do two things. People can text VBN to 77788, and then also they could go to 777votes.org. So 777votes.org. We want them to request it now. So I don't want to say, you have to request it now so that you don't have to wait till the deadline. That's my
absolutely. Yeah, because the procrastinators will end up having a problem if you. So it's better the
if
early
you start
bird
to say,
catches
you have 5. If you say you have 5 weeks left, you have 4 weeks left. Many people will be like, well, I have time. I'm saying request it now so that it'll get to you on time.
Okay. So this brings me to where do I vote? Some people ask, where do I vote? Especially since we are hearing of polling place closures / consolidations.
So there are a couple of proposals that are already being worked at by the state Board of Elections. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but and this is really a sad thing because in Maryland, if you have the governor, the party of the governor basically have control. When I say control, they have like the majority seats of all the local boards of elections. So even if it's like, for example, Montgomery County is a heavily Democratic county. However, because we have a Republican governor, the head of the board of elections in Montgomery County is Republican, right? So they get to set many of the rules. They get to set, in consultation. But if you have a 3-2, right, 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, they would, on all issues, have the ability to outvote their the minority board members, the election board of election members. And so, but what happens now is that, for example, some of the things we are looking for them to straight out is make sure that you mail out, if you're going to do vote by mail out all the ballots to everyone at the same time. The primary election, what they did, they staggered the vote, the mail. So some people got their mail, some people didn't get the mail. So there was all this anxiety about people that say, hey, am I going to get my mail? Or why did why does this person get their mail and I didn't get my ballot, right? And so we want to make sure that, as a Democratic Central Committee, we talk to the Board of Election. We have members who represent us there as a party. So we're telling them, make sure you push. Again, if you're going to send out the ballots, send them out all at once so that everybody gets their ballots around the same day or the day after. So those are some of the efforts. We're doing lots of voter educational webinars. Of course, we cannot do. We're doing voter training sessions. And all of this is on our website. So if you go to mcdcc.org, dcc.org, we have a wealth of information there about voter education, and even people who would like to volunteer. There's a volunteer training session that goes on as well on a regular basis. We have precincts organizations where you don't have to go out of your neighborhood. There are people there who you can work with to volunteer, but there are people there who can also bring you up to speed in terms of all the things we're doing. So this is, as the title of the show is, this is truly a grassroots effort. And so you want to be plugged in from the grassroots, just go to www.mcdcc.org.
Absolutely. And, that was also bringing me to the question of registering to vote generally, especially for newly naturalized citizens. Where do I vote? And what about the registration deadlines, if any? How would you answer that question for them?
And the way I would answer it again is that 2 things. So if you have just become a U.S. citizen, right, this same number, 77788, you can actually register in Maryland to vote online. So if you type in vote, VOTE, and you text it to 77788, it takes you to the State Board of Elections website. And there, it gives you the opportunity for you.
For Maryland or nationally, federally? Because we're dealing
Maryland,
with
the State Board of Elections.
Okay, yes. This is specifically for Maryland.
Yes. So if you go to elections.maryland.gov is the main website for the State Board of Elections.
Okay. And so, all right. Thank you for that information, And then who's going to be on my ballot, what to expect, especially for the first-time ballot voter?
That's a good question. So, of course, at the top, right, you'll have the 2 nominees for the Democrats and for the Republicans. So that will be at the top. But don't stop at the top, because some of the most important in terms of races are down ballot. Of course, this year, the top nominees, the presidential race is, I would say, we used to say that every election, well, this is the most important election of our lifetime. No. This election is literally for our own life, right? So it's not even our lifetime anymore. It's for us to be able to stay alive, for us to be able to defeat, the health pandemic that we're facing, for us to be able to defeat the economic pandemic we're facing. So please vote at the top. And I'm a Democrat. right? But I'm telling you, leadership is what is at stake. So somebody may say, well, all I can say is vote for a leader who will do the right thing to get all of us, regardless if you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent. Vote for a competent leader who will get us out of these pandemics that we're facing, both the economic and the health. And for me, that's Joe Biden. But then if you come down, you'll find other like congressional seats, depending on the district where you live. You'll find some states legislative seats. You will find some school boards. Now, some people take school boards for granted. Please don't take school board for granted. School boards make critical decisions for our children's education. So you want to make sure you research all the school board members who will be on the ballot. And then also judges. Many people don't realize that judges are on the ballot. And so please make sure you research judges that have your values, that have, that will seek your interest. So I'm going to give one recommendation. This is a non-partisan, non-profit organization that have been around for a long time. They call them the League of Women Voters. And their website is vote411.org. So vote411.org. They have built together a very comprehensive website where all what you need to do is put in your address, and guess what? From the top all the way to the bottom, all the candidates who are filed to be on the ballot will appear. And sometimes some of these candidates will provide some information about themselves, and you get to read it. But if they don't, well, first of all, that sends you a message that if this person is not providing information about themselves, what kind of candidate is this? So you can do your further research. But the League of Women Voters is a non-partisan, a non-profit, and they've been providing voter guides for many, many years. But as a Democratic Party, we also have sample ballots as well that we mail out to our Democratic constituents as well. So for that information, in terms of a sample ballot, you can go to our website, which is www.mcdcc.org. And when we have our sample ballot, it will be online.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Before we go on our break, I would love for you to answer one more question. That is, when one now decides to vote, what if they need help, especially with regards to the language barrier?
That's a good question. So I know that there's a federal law that allows the Board of Election to have the ballots in Spanish, right? So that, but again, if Spanish is not your language, let me give you an example. We just did vote by mail, and that's why I'm really encouraging vote by mail, because vote by mail is so easy. You are in your house. There's no line, right? There's no wait time. I mean, you can sit right at your kitchen table, your center table, your living room table, any table that's in the house, right? You can fill out your ballot, but you can also involve other people to see what you're doing. Now, to answer your question more specifically, if someone has a language barrier, if you're voting by mail, there's a statement of attestation that comes in that ballot, where if you're helping someone who is having language barrier to fill out their ballot, whoever is the one helping them need to fill that out and make sure that they sign it so that they could include it in the ballot. So vote by mail is what I'm going to strongly recommend, because it allows you, for somebody who you know, who you trust in your own household, to help you fill out your form. Also, they also get to fill out the attestation that they're the one who helped you and signed it, and then all of that go into the envelope, and whoever is the one that's voting have to sign the back of the envelope before they can go out to the mailbox and just drop it into the mailbox.
Wow. Honorable Koroma, thank you so much for this insight, for this civic education. We will be back after the break. Stay tuned.
ESYDA returned to play summer clinics. Recreation, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Travel team, EDP, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free mask and water bottle. Register today at esYDA.org. Email info@ESYDA. Phone 248-765-9369. Office 301-800-7848. Toll free 800-995-5532. Free registration for all summer clinics. All new players need buy uniforms. We're following COVID-19 soccer guidelines. Small group practice with 9 players and 1 coach. For more information, go to ESYDA.org.
Welcome back to African Diaspora Grassrots Voting with our special guest, Honorable Daniel Koroma. Yes, Honorable Koroma. This is regarding the Africa diaspora folks, especially the older ones who are scared of trouble. Some may be worried about being harassed at the polls. How do you address those concerns?
That's a great question, Buzi. So let me just say that if all things being equal, let's say, for example, it's not an all, vote by mail this November, we will have people at the polling stations, but we also have a team that is called the Voter Protection Team. We've put together competent lawyers, and some members of our community are volunteers there as well, to ensure that anyone who feels threatened, anyone who feels like they've been, that's correct. They are able to speak to one of those individuals. Now, in addition, we also have phone numbers as well for voter. We have our voter protection line, which is activated during the election day, so that people can call our voter protection line. So let me assure anyone and everyone that you have the right to vote in America. No one should intimidate you at all. It is your civic duty. Let me also remind all of us, especially in the African community and the African American community and the Black community, there are people who have died for us to have the right to vote. So I hope no one discourages you to sit at home when people, as I say, have died. There are people who died without voting. There are African Americans who gave their lives, before, way before we came to this country, or way before others were born into this country. So please, I'm appealing to anyone. If you feel threatened, there is protection. People will be there. But besides that, there will be phone numbers for you to call, and they will be addressed. But don't feel discouraged and sit home and say, you know what, I'm not going to vote. That's why, again, I'm pushing vote by mail. You don't have to go to the polling station. You can vote from your home. So please just text vote by mail or VBM to 77788. 77788 on your cell phone. That's the number you need to text to.
That's for Maryland. That's for Maryland.
That is correct. That's Maryland. If you live in Maryland, absolutely. That's So vote exactly. Vote by mail 77788, and you will get the opportunity to request a ballot, and then you can fill out the application, send in your request, and then they will send you a ballot so that you can vote. At the convenience of your home, and you can vote. On election day as well.
Oh, fantastic! And yes, and how is the partisan election administrators dealt with, and how could that affect a voter of a different political view?
Buzi, it's really difficult. So remember, we all, and I believe I can even speak for you, that we, before I came to America, right? So America is the founder of democracy. Is the pillar of democracy around the world. Like countries around the world look to America when we talk about democracy. So listen, democracy is a great thing. And as I always say when I talk to people, I say Republicans are not bad people also, right? But
yes,
what has happened is that partisan politics, as we see it right now, is almost, it's not even cultural, it's tribal right now in America. And it is so bad because, people who, want to have civic discourse, political parties should have conversation about ideas. Let the Democrat put out their ideas. Let the Republicans put out their ideas. Let the Independents put out their ideas. Let the Progressive. You have all these ideas. The goal is that let's take all these ideas and see how we can find common ground called compromise, and that would move everyone in the country forward. However, that's not what's happening right now. And it is so, disheartening for me. I mean, I believe in America. I believe in the American system. I'm an American. My kids are Americans. I mean, we want America to work. And that's why I really hope that both Democrats and Republicans, remember, I'm speaking as an elected Democratic member, right? We both need to be civil where we have dialogue based on ideas. And whoever, and that's, to me, that's what democracy should be about. Let's put aside, exactly. Let people vote for you based on your ideas. You don't want them to, you don't want to get people not to come to the polls so that you can win. That doesn't make sense, right? So you say, well, the less people who vote, then I'm going to win. What kind of democracy is that? We don't want that kind of democracy. We want people to vote because they're voting based on ideas, and whoever wins gets a mandate to execute their ideas.
Absolutely, I concur with you regarding that. Thanks for that insight. And what are your recommendations for organizing the community for this election, the African diaspora community? What are your recommendations for organizing them during this coming elections?
I think this is the question I've been waiting for throughout the evening. So thank you for asking that. So basically, I mean, that's why I came to the show, because we talk about African diaspora grassroots, right? It starts from the bottom up. That's like what we're doing right now. How do we make sure we share, first of all, this information that you have collected, that we have gone back and forth on, to people who maybe don't have time to watch TV and know what the issues are. We talked about those who are working from 7 to 3, 3 to 11, right? So they have to come back home, prepare a meal, take care of, and have to go back to bed maybe at midnight or 1 o'clock, and they have to wake up again at 5, 7 to 3, 3 to 11. We have to do a good enough job so that we present to them the facts, right? Let's present to them what the facts are so that they can make an informed decision to vote. It is in our responsibility, Buzi, Coach Fofo, who has a wonderful program here in Montgomery County, work with children. Those children's parents, most of those children's parents most likely work 2 or 3 jobs. Coach Fofo putting out something where people can see, right, civically, Alan, what Alan is doing in Africa, Afrique Today. These are the things that we who know the information, we who have the information, need to make sure we share it on Facebook groups, on WhatsApp groups, on Google groups, on Yahoo groups. I mean, everywhere where we know our community members are participating, let's share this information so that our community is informed. But more importantly, let's share, again, vote by mail. Let's share how the deadlines, for voting. Let's make sure whoever is happy. It's our responsibility. We need to do it, Buzi.
Yes, and it takes it's every little piece of the action adds up. Just a small thing. It's kind of like you're your brother's keeper.
Absolutely.
We can't think about it and say it doesn't. This doesn't matter. It doesn't concern me. It does. Especially it concerns the next generation. If you want to be selfish and think about yourself, think about, at least remember your offspring or your nieces or your nephews. You should think about that, your grandkids, you know?
Yes, absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Because
I
the goal
mean,
is that if we don't set the platform, if we don't build the platform for them, how do we expect them to stand, right? So we need to build a platform for others to stand on.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. And what important thing would you suggest to bring the African community together this coming election?
So, I mean, it's difficult, first of all, because we're dealing with a pandemic. I'm going back to this, Buzi, because I don't want us to forget that things are not easy right now for members of our community.
Yeah, this is the new normal. It's not these unprecedented times. It's never been seen in the in our lifetime, to be honest.
Exactly. Exactly. So the question now is that, I mean, we have to think creatively, but also with the mind that, listen, the decisions that we are going to make on November in the November election and the ballots, our votes in November, that decision is going to basically determine many of the things that would impact us, not only for the short term or the midterm, but for the long term as well. So if there's a need for us to come together, well, there's no greater need than now, right? If there's a call to action that we need to have in our community, there's no other time better for us to have a call to action. Let me give you an example. Many times people used to say, oh, the African community would not come out to volunteer. They will not come out to vote. They will not come out. But the moment you say, hey, there's party over here, right? They would show up, 200, 300 Africans will show up to a party. Well, guess what, Buzi? There are no more parties like that happening, right? So why can't we use this same opportunity? Instead of having party, right? Let's have a virtual party and talk about democracy, talk about civic engagement. Buzi, those are the type of things. I mean, you cannot meet anymore. You cannot go to parties anymore. So we need to still engage each other and educate each other so that we're well informed and we can make an informed decision as we vote this November.
This is very educational. You don't know. I mean, as we wrap up, Honorable, what would be your closing remarks, regarding the upcoming elections, the call for action? Even the myths, debunking the myths regarding the absentee ballots and that kind of thing. And for the...
Well, Buzi, let me first of all thank you for being an amazing host, and thank Alan, thank Coach Fofo for his amazing work here in Maryland and in Montgomery County, to be more specific. These are unprecedented times. These are times where, that, as Buzi said, we haven't seen in our generation. There's so many times when we, will say, well, this does not impact me. This does not, affect me. And because of that, we tend to push it away. But what we're facing right now is affecting all of us. We're talking about, as we speak right now, we're close to 150,000 Americans dead. People dead in America. The last 6 or 7 days, 1,000 people per day has died. Per day. This is not easy. This is serious. And so, indeed, some people may take politics and say, well, because of the experience we've had back home, well, it's something that I don't like. I don't want to participate. But my brother, my sister, this is time that all of us have to get involved, get engaged. If you would like to get engaged, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your ideology, get engaged. The Democratic Party, I'm a Democrat and I'm a progressive. And so I can assure you that we can have conversation, and we may even have disagreement on some of the things that I believe that you believe. But I'm begging you, please, make sure you register to vote. Make sure you request and vote by mail so that you can sit at the comfort of your home and vote. But more importantly, make sure you get other people to participate as well. So again, if you used to host house parties, yes,
person, it makes a difference.
Yes. If you can just get one person to vote, you believe me, you've accomplished a big goal. So please listen. If you don't listen to me, listen to Buzi. At least she just told you to recruit one person to vote. So thank you so much again.
Oh my God. I would like to thank our guests, Honorable Koroma, for taking the time to educate us on important matters. That is your decision to vote in the U.S. 2020 election, which is an important election in our lifetime. I would like to thank all of you for tuning in, and I look forward to you all next Wednesday at the same time. Please spread the word about our program, the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting on Afrique Today. As the African adage goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Have a wonderful evening. See you next week. Thank you.
Welcome to Afrique Today. My name is Harry Shangarai, and thank you for stopping by, checking with me. I'm here to just give you a few community updates. I believe this information is important, and please share with your neighbor, share with your friend. Of course, we're in the midst of the pandemic, and majority of us here in Montgomery County, we know that we're on a phase 2 reopening, and just want to let you know that you can get tested. There are many centers that have been put in place that do not need doctor's notes to get tested. So the number to call is 240-777-1755. If you don't remember that number, just call 311 and get information about testing centers. We have testing center at Germantown, another one at Wheaton, and White Oak. So there's no reason why, if you believe you've been exposed to COVID, you should not get tested. Also, we have pop-up testing centers that come up every now and then. Just by calling that number, you can get to learn about all the facilities that you can get tested and be able to protect your family and protect everyone around you. That being said, just want to tell you, all these resources are being put in place because of the response that we put for census, where the fund and grant money allocated for different activities. So I just want to remind you, it is important to get counted. Make sure you have completed your census. Starting August 8, the Census Bureau is going to send people at your door. They're going to be knocking the door to make sure they count each and every family. So if you have completed your census, you have nothing to worry, and thank you for doing that. But if you have not completed your census, they will be at your door. So what you want to do, which is pretty quick, takes just 10 minutes, go online, www.2020census.gov, and complete your census today. It is quick, it is easy, it is simple and safe. Another update I would like to give you, and this one I really think it's just a heads up so you can keep checking. If you're a small business owner, there's a grant coming out for small business owners here in Montgomery County, and you may qualify up to $5,000 for expenses that you have incurred starting the COVID pandemic. That was March. So make sure you check the Montgomery County website, and that website is montgomerycountymd.gov/biz, BIZ space resources/reopen. Check back with us for more information. This is in the pipeline, but I want to keep you informed so you can start preparing yourself and get these resources to come and assist your business. One but not least is we all know that we have had eviction moratorium in place as well as utility. So as we are getting ready to reopen and moratoriums that have been placed put by the governor of Maryland, some are getting ready to be lifted. So I want you to be on top of that, especially with the utility. Make sure you contact the companies that are serving you if you're having difficulty making payments. Make sure you speak or communicate to your landlord if you're falling behind your rent and whatnot, so that once the eviction moratoriums has been lifted or utility, you're still able to have some kind of a plan and you're keeping your family safe. Because at the end of the day, rent is due, rent is on, and you have to make payment plan. So please stay on top of that. I think that is very, very important. For today, I'm just gonna leave you with that. Stay safe, put your mask, keep your long distance, protect others, protect yourself and your family. Thank you. You're watching Afrique Today, and this is Community Update with Harriet Shangarai. Take care.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today, Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. ESYDA returned to play summer clinics. Recreation, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Travel team, EDP, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free mask and water bottle. Register today at esYDA.org. Email info@ESYDA. Phone 248-765-9369. Office 301-800-7848. Toll free 800-995-5532. Free registration for all summer clinics. All new players need buy uniforms. We're following COVID-19 soccer guidelines. Small group practice with 9 players and 1 coach. For more information, go to esYDA.org.